Hey, good morning, guys and gals. On this particular video, I've taken my X32 rack and I've done a complete factory reset. Okay, so in this video, what I want to cover is how to set up your buses for in-ear monitoring. Okay, and when I get finished, then we're going to switch over and show how you can adjust these from your iPhone or your iPad. And the software that I'm using is the X32 Edit. And as you can see in the top left-hand side of this video, I am connected. Okay. Now, the first thing we want to look at is our routing. As you can see, when it's a factory reset, the mix bus is coming out of the output 1. This is on the back of your X32 rack. And that's your XLR output. That's your physical output. So as you can see, these go all the way down to number 6. And then number 7 and 8, they've got it over here on your left and your right mains. Okay. So if you want to use this X32 rack strictly for in-ear monitoring, then you can take these and simply come over here and add them to mix bus 7 and 8. Okay, that's the first thing. Now keep in mind when you do this, you can still get audio out, but you're going to have to use your monitor outs or your auxiliary outs. Okay, and I don't want to confuse you, but this is the first step that you want to do. Now, for me, since we've only got 16 input channels, I'm going to come up here and edit the X32 Edit software. I don't need these other channels up here, and I'm simply clicking on them. You can see how they're highlighted, and I'm simply clicking on them, and this is going to remove them, as you can see, from my screen. Now, at this point, okay, I can add in my buses. You see, all I'm doing is highlighting those. Okay, so now I've got my channel ends and my buses on the same screen. Okay, and I'm going to say bank number. I'm simply going to come right up here and name it X32 rack. Okay, and then I'm going to click blank. Okay, and now I'm simply going to come back over to edit and click it again, and now that part is done. Now, as you can see right up here, it says X32 rack. Okay, now guys, I'm going to label one channel and I'm going to label one bus, and then I'm going to pause this video so I can go back, and all I'm going to do is label things. Okay, for your channels, it is simple. We're going to go to channel 1, we're going to right mouse click it, and I'm going to call this VOX. We can name it VOX1, and I'm going to give all these the same name and the same color. Okay, so it's going to be VOX1, VOX2, yada, yada, yada. So now I'm going to come down to my mix buses. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up here and put in-ear monitor 1. And you can name these whatever you want, guys, but you're only going to have so many characters. Okay. And then we're going to give it a color. Let's just give it a color of white there. Okay. Now, very important. At this point, I'm going to come over and hit save. As you can see, it's all selected. I'm going to say save as a scene. Okay. So I'm going to come back up to where I keep all my scenes and presets and everything. And I'm going to call this X32 rack only. That's my scene, and I'm going to click save. All right. So give me a second here, guys, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to label the rest of these channels. And as you can see right up here now, the box 1, as well as the in-ear monitor 1, is now showing up on our main board. And this is going to get us to the point where we can start building our mixes for those buses using a process called, actually there's two names. Some people call it fader on demand, and some people call it sends on fader. Okay, So give me a second and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, and we're back. Now, I want to show you one thing over here too. When I set this up with the only 16 channels, I came over here to where it says bank. You have to be on Mixer. See, all this disappears, but if you come over to Mixer, you'll see where it says save. Okay, and I've already saved it as my X32 rack. I'm going to say save. It's going to say override. I'm going to say yes. Now, this is not a scene, guys. Okay, this is simply the bank. It's in a BNK format. All right. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to build these first three channels. With the Vox one, it's going to be a SM57. I've got it up here. As you can see, my input level's coming up now. I've got it quite a ways away from me, and I apologize for that because normally the singer, you want them singing at their loudest point, and you want them to be hitting right around that -18. Okay? Now, keep in mind, I haven't blended anything with the board yet. I am simply setting my input gains. Okay? So if I want to come up here and put a gate on it, I can raise this up to where, as you can see, I'm talking. Again, you don't use these settings I'm showing you guys because the microphone is far away from me, but you want it to where when you stop, okay, when we're not, they're not singing, then it's going to activate right there because if they start singing a real low part of a song, you could actually gate them out, and that it's going to, and that's what it's going to sound like. Okay, so be very, very careful when you adjust this gate. Now the EQ, here's where you can put on your low cuts. Actually, come over here to the EQ. You've got some presets in here uh, that you can use. However you want to set up your channel config. Let's go over here and say load. We're going to load a preset. And these are the factory presets. Okay, this is what comes with the factory. So you'll find these in there. So let's just say that we got a female there. Where is she at? I just seen her. Okay, where are you at? Female vocal right there. That is a preset. We're going to put it to this channel. And we're going to say open. And we're going to say select all. And we're going to say load. Now see what just happened, guys? Over here, it put it to the FVOX. It's already set the EQ. It's taken the gate off, and it's taken the dynamics off. So that's how you load a preset on a channel. Okay? Keep in mind, all we have done so far is added a preset to this channel, and we've adjusted our input gain. Okay? Right here. So I'm going to take this gate off, and I'm going to take the compressor off. Okay? So now we're going to come over to the Vox 2. Now, the Vox 2 and 3 are two Behringer C5 condenser microphones that I have. This is what I use for my room mics, or I can use them for overheads. They do require phantom power. And so here I'm going to raise the gain again until I start getting that input signal. Now, these microphones are probably about 10 foot away from me. Okay, so I've got to jack this gain all the way up. Now, as you can see, it's coming out to the main left and right. And let's go back to this one. As you can see, it's coming out to the left, main, and right. But guys, if you're going to use this strictly for your in-ear monitoring, it doesn't matter because we're going to switch this out through routing anyway. You can leave it on, you can leave it off. It doesn't matter. Okay, so again, the third condenser mic, we're going to raise it all the way up, phantom power on, and then over here to the left and right. Okay, so you can see we've got our three inputs coming in down here on the board. And we don't have anything going over here to the master yet because we haven't raised these faders. Once we start raising these faders, then you're going to see that that is coming up. And let's go over to routing. And if we put this back on 7 and 8 on our left and right, okay, and if we raise this fader up, you're going to see the signal coming in now. At this point, you would sit here and you would adjust your guitar 1, guitar 2, the bass. You would come over and you would set these input levels. Okay, your amps, you could have a guitar 1 with a direct box coming in or a DI, a direct line. and then you could have the guitar too, to where you have like a SM57 up against the guitar amp, okay? It all depends on how you wanna set it up. But like I said, all we're gonna do is raise some volumes here, and I wanna show you this for an example, okay? Even though we've got no signal coming through them whatsoever, and we're just gonna make them all look, like we were actually doing something here, okay? So, you can see that I've got all these right here done. So at this point, I'm gonna come up and I'm going to save the scene again. I wanna select all. I wanna save it as a scene. Okay, let's get out of my factory presets. And remember, guys, I saved the scene as the X32 rack only. So that's what I'm gonna just keep saving it as. You know, it's like any other computer program. You know, when you do so much in a word processor, you wanna save it. You know, if not, then when you get to the end, power goes out, you lose it, whatever happens, then you've lost your whole project. Keep in mind, we are just setting this up, okay? So, at this point, we're going to come down to where it says our bus. And I want you to see that we can click on this right here all day long, but that is simply showing us the bus, okay? What you have to do to activate the send zone faders is you've got to come over here and click this one, okay? Now look what happens when we go back over. You see, we came back over now to our main mixing screen, and all these faders have now came all the way down. All the power buttons are on. And this is where you're going to select how much of each input you want to go in to the in-ear monitor bus 1. Okay? So you're going to say, okay, well, I want some female vocals in there. Look up here to the right where you see that bus send. You'll see that move. Okay? You're going to say, I want some female vocal. I just want a little bit of the backup singers. I love the way my guitar guy plays. So I want this one. I don't need any bass. I do want to hear some keys. Now, as far as the drum goes, other than the kick, I don't want to hear nothing. And that's it, guys. You've just set the in-ear monitor for bus number 1. Okay? It's that simple. Listen to what I'm telling you. If you follow this video, I just added these channels in the bus 1. Now, at that point, you're going to come up here and click on main, left, and right. Now, as you can see, we're back to our mixing panel, and all our faders are still exactly where they were. Okay, but now you see the in-ear monitor now. It's getting the signal coming from these microphones as well, because we put them in over here. Now, in order to get this signal out to your transmitter or your P2, if that's what you want to use for your in-ear monitor, this is now your master volume. Okay? Now, look up here. When we go to mains, we do not have this going out to the left and right stereo. We don't want it going out to the left and right stereo, because what happens is this. Now you've got this volume coming out through the left and right stereo, okay? And if you go back to your original channels, all of these are going out of the left and right stereo. So all you're doing is just adding a double signal, okay? And if you hear a lot of cracking, a lot of just muddy sound, a lot of times this is why. Okay, so on your buses, you do not want to have this checked. Okay, so now let's set it up for the second person in the group. We come over here to in-ear monitor 2. If we go back to the rack again, look, all of our faders have come down just like they're supposed to. Okay, so this guy, he's the guitar player. He wants to hear the lead singer, and he wants to hear the bass player, and he wants to hear the kick drum. That's all he wants to hear. And by pushing these levels up, now you're giving him this much in his mix. So if you can see now over here on bus number 2, the in-ear monitor number 2, you've got the signal coming up. But now the guy says, well, listen, man, we're up here playing, and I'm getting way too much of that kick in my monitor. Okay? So if you're up here, and let's just go ahead and click off of this, and we come down to the buses, and you say, okay, we're going to raise this up so now the guy can hear the mix coming through. Now he says, look, man, I got too much kick coming in through my monitors. All right? And guys, remember, this works on wedge monitors, floor monitors. It works on anything that you're going to connect to that output XLR on the back of the rack, number two. So he says, okay, man, I got too much kick bass. So you, as the sound engineer, you're going to come back over here and highlight his in-ear monitor number two. You're going to come back up to the rack and you're going to take this volume knob or slider and you're going to bring it down into where he hears exactly what he wants to hear. Okay, once you do that, simply come back up here and click on main left and right again. Now you can come down to the bus. He says, okay, now listen, now I love the way the mix sounds, but the volume's too high. Can you lower it just a hair? But guys, really, if you're using any quality in-ear monitoring, you're going to be able to adjust this volume yourself. So if that's the case, run these up to 0, okay? Put these up to infinity, and then let the person at the other end adjust their volume control, okay? And that's it. That is so simple to set up your in-ear monitoring using this program, all right? Now I'm going to go ahead and pause this program again because now I've got to get out my iPads, my iPhone, and get linked into my router. I got to set up my external cameras to see if I can get a quality video of this, and then we'll take it from there, all right? I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so as you can see right here, I've now got my iPhone. All I did was go into settings and I connected to the same router that my X32 rack is. And as you can see right up here in all the buttons, all the things, it's got every single thing listed on my iPhone as it does on the X32 Edit. Okay, so I'm going to click down here and there's my channels 9 through 16. Okay, I'm going to go back up to 1 through 8. You can see where they're labeled. Now, if I go down to IEM1, our in-ear monitor, this is where the person would be up on stage and they would be able to adjust their own inputs. Okay, this is where they can come up and say, okay, I want less female vocal, so I'm just going to slide it down a little bit. I want some more of the guitar one, I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And guys, it's just that simple. That's how you use your iPhone to set your own in-ear monitors. Now, the guy that's on in-ear monitor number two, he would be pushing number two. That's what he would be using. Just, keep in mind, unless you password protect these buses, that if somebody gets up there and gets on the wrong bus, then they're going to screw somebody else's mix up. Okay, but it's like anything else in this profession, guys. You got to practice. We're professionals when we do this. Okay, so let's say the guy on in-ear monitor number two says, you know what? I think I would like a little bit of the third vocal coming in. He's simply going to come up here and take this and raise it up. Okay, and there you go. Now he's got that going in there. The program that I'm using on my iPhone here is called Mixing Station. Okay, that's what works for iPhones. All right, and give me a second, and I'm going to put up the iPad and show you the same thing with it. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so here we are with the iPad. Okay, it's basically now this is the X32 Mix program. Okay, same thing with the iPad. I set up, go to settings, I set it to be hooked into the same router that the X32 rack is on, and you can see my signals and everything coming up here, okay, on the meters. But up here on this, you see right here, it says sends on fader. We want to push that. Now, as you can see, the number one is lit up and it says in-ear monitor one. This is where you would adjust how much you want going in to that bus number one, that in-ear monitoring one. Okay, that's how it's just that simple. You go and push number two. Okay, you see it changes to in-ear monitor two. You do the exact same thing, guys. It's the same thing that we talked about before. You're up on stage. Everybody has their own iPad, or you have one iPad, to where somebody can go up there as the band's warming up and they're getting ready to do their sound check and everything. Then this is how you would do it. Now, once you get finished, it's very important. You come back up and you push sends on fader again, and now you're right back to your regular board. Channels 1 through 8, channels 9 through 6. Okay, here you've got your bus sends 1 through 8. And remember we talked about putting these on 0. The guy says, listen, man, my I don't have a volume control knob on my particular in-ear monitor setup, so you can, can you decrease the volume for me? So you would simply come up here and bring this down. Okay, and that's it. You are finito. All right, it's just that simple. All right, man, take care. God bless, and we are out of here.